Aly Khalifa is going to play a key role next season.
You are Locked On Louisville, your daily podcast on the Louisville Cardinals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Card Nation, what's going on, everyone? Welcome into this Wednesday edition of the Locked On Louisville podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Pence. This is my fifth year covering the University of Louisville, third year hosting this show, and I want to take the time to personally thank you all for making us your first listen of the day. Just a reminder, the Locked On Louisville podcast, free and available on all streaming services 5 days a week, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. On the show today, I'm going to explain why I believe Aly Khalifa is going to play a key role for the Louisville Cardinals next season and why his skill set is a match made in heaven for Pat Kelsey's system. We'll also talk about the ACC strongly considering reducing the amount of conference basketball games from 20 to 18 next season to help more teams get into the NCAA tournament. Full disclosure, I hate this idea, and I'm going to explain why coming up in the second segment. We'll also identify another in-state football commitment in the 2026 class. We'll discuss what he brings to the Cardinals program and much more at the end of the show. One thing that I've tried to do for all of the returning, quote-unquote, returning players for Louisville next season is just have a segment discussing what expectations look like, what their roles will look like, and much more. We had a segment on Kenai Ruths. We had one on James Scott. Well, Scott is now in the portal, and I really don't expect him to be back at Louisville next season. So I guess it's only appropriate now to continue to discuss the 5 spot. We had a segment talking about how Sananda Frew, in my opinion, is going to be better than advertised. Aly Khalifa is going to play a key role in the 2025-26 season for the Cardinals. Spent this past year redshirting after dealing with a knee injury in 2023-24 in his lone season at BYU, where he averaged 5.7 points a game, playing about 19 minutes per night, 39% from the field, 32% from three, 62% from the free throw line, 3.7 rebounds, 4.0 assists per game. Dealt with injury that year, decided to redshirt, clean that knee up, and have a clean bill of health this season. And I'm okay with that. You needed some roster continuity, and I'm okay with Pat Kelsey taking that risk, even though it hurt the Cardinals' depth a little bit this year. Still, they were able to get through it, and now you're looking forward to this year. I have to be honest. I know that it's all in the name of rivalry talk, but the amount of fans from down the I-64 corridor to the east, the amount of fans acting like Aly Khalifa is just not a good player at all. Like absolute scrub is the vibe that you would get if you listen to Kentucky fans talk about Aly Khalifa. And my rebuttal to those that say well, he's going to be a major player in your front court, yeah. But here's the misconception. Louisville doesn't need him to be all ACC. In fact, I don't think that any Louisville fan believes that he's going to be an all ACC caliber big man. But the thing about it is, I think he is a great fit in this system. It's a match made in heaven. What Aly Khalifa does really well are things that get maximized in Pat Kelsey's system. Shooting, passing. It's all in the name of playing fast on offense, getting out in transition. And that was my largest concern when Louisville got his commitment because he was listed at 6'11", 275 pounds. The Egyptian apparently was around 300 pounds in the spring. But since then, It's all about getting his body right. I know you all have seen the transformation pictures. On the left, he's on his official visit, and he's around 300 pounds. And then there was a recent picture from the late winter, early spring, where he's completely diesel. He's chiseled around 250 pounds. He's got a significant amount of upper body strength, and he just looks toned. And that is something that gives me a ton of comfort going into next season, because I'm worried about, okay, how is he going to be able to move up and down quickly in this system, especially defensively? And that's where the concerns lie. More on that in just a second. But now that he's getting his body where he believes it needs to be, I think that that's going to do wonders for his stamina and for his overall level of production. With a healthy knee, I think that you're going to see some shades of his time at Charlotte, where he was a double-digit scorer. He shot 50% from the field and 38% from three, 75% from the free throw line. I think that, I mean, yes, there is a level of getting acclimated at the Power 5 level, but I don't think what you saw at BYU is an indication of what he can or cannot do. I think that in Pat Kelsey's system, imagine this past year with James Scott at the top of the key and how he got better and better at facilitating and sort of being that point forward at times, getting the basketball up at the top of the key, around the free throw line, up around the elbow, and just finding the open man. He did an okay job. Aly Khalifa is an infinitely better passer than James Scott. No disrespect to Scott. That's just one of the huge strengths that Khalifa has to his game. It's a unicorn-esque skill set that I think it really depends on the system that you're deploying Khalifa to, right? Because there are certain systems where I think that Khalifa will be able to play in, but maybe not necessarily show out as much. And again, playing a key role doesn't mean he's going to be this all ACC level guy. But when you have a team full of shooters, Michael Brown Jr., Adrian Woolley, Ryan Conwell, Isaac McNeely, Kason Pryor can hit the shots, Javon Hadley can hit the shots. Having a good amount of shooters on the court and then having a big man that is able to find those shooters, it's going to be able to maximize efficiency for the Cardinals offense. I could 1,000% see a scenario next year to where Khalifa's stats might not necessarily represent his impact on the court to the fullest. He's one of those guys that's like, man, he is much more valuable than what you're seeing in the numerical averages. And that's basketball. I mean, if you're just sitting there reading the box score to be able to tell you how effective or not effective a player is, I think that you are being fairly shallow. But it's not just passing. Aly Khalifa also has that shooting upside. What was an issue last year when James Scott got the ball at the top of the key or the free throw line? Well, at the end of the season, teams were saying, okay, we dare you to dribble the ball at us and shoot. We dare you to be in the pick and pop situations. Because what we're going to do is we're going to clog the paint, we're going to double the high post, and we're going to make you shoot the ball well to beat us. You can't do that with Aly Khalifa because Khalifa will make you pay. Don't believe me? Go back and watch the tape. I know he shot 31.5% on 3 attempts in 2023-24 BYU. Again, a lot of this has to be taken with a grain of salt because he played most of the year injured. He even said it himself. So, is he going to be a player that makes 5 threes a game? I'm not even sure he takes 5 threes a game. But if he shoots 4 threes a game at 35%, that's a huge upgrade over what you had last year, and it takes some of that pressure off of your backcourt, and it opens up a ton in the paint. And I think that with that skill set, being able to pass, being able to shoot the 3 ball, and transforming his body, he's going to be able to coexist on the court with other big men. I can see situations where you can play Frew and Khalifa at the same time. You can play Pryor and Khalifa at the same time. Now, is he going to be a guy that plays 25 minutes a game? I mean, perhaps not. I think around 20, maybe more, just depending on how Louisville fills this final scholarship. Well, maybe not final scholarship, how they fill their final scholarships, plural, whether they decide to go with the traditional big man, whether they opt to go a little smaller and play more wings, or whatever those additions look like. I think that there's so many different ways that you can use him. This is just a situation where the skill set is tailor-made for the system in which that player is playing. Now, there is some issues that I have next year with lack of interior scoring. He's not really a post threat. I think that Frew can be that, but maybe not necessarily a truly high-level post threat. Khalifa, I'd like to see more scoring from the paint, especially with him adding more strength. I wonder if that's going to be a point of emphasis to get him the ball in the paint. And then there are some questions about on-ball defense. He's not a rim protector, but I wonder with the transformation of his body, with getting healthier with that knee, does it mean that he's going to be able to be a little bit better than he has been on the defensive end of the floor? And I think that the answers are trending towards being optimistic. So, yeah, I mean, he's not an all ACC level guy in my opinion, but to give the rebuttal to the opposing fans acting like this guy is just going to hurt the team at all costs and all turns, no. It's more than just a surface level thing. Like, this is going to be, I feel like, a good partnership for Khalifa and Louisville because of the system that he's going to play in next season. Speaking of next season, ACC is doing something, or considering doing something, that I strongly dislike, and I'm going to identify what it is and explain why I don't like it when we come back on this Wednesday edition of the Locked On Louisville podcast. But first, I want to take the time to tell you about our friends over at Monarch Money. If you ever check your bank account and wonder where all your money went between dining out, online shopping, whatever it is, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all your accounts, investments, spending all in one place. So you just stop managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances and much, much more, even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's Monarch Money with the code LOCKEDONCollege for half off of your first year. And as always, want to take the time to thank you all for making us your first listen of the day. Just a reminder, Locked On Louisville, free and available on all streaming services 5 days a week. Your team every day. I think it was Monday when this came out, but there were reports that I'm reading this verbatim, an article from Brandon Marcello from CBSSports.com. ACC considering reducing conference basketball schedule to help boost the league's NCAA tournament profile. Currently, teams are playing 20 games in the conference slate, and the ACC is looking to take that from 20 to 18, and that could start potentially as soon as this next season. Marcelo mentions the expectation among administrators is that the proposal will be approved when the league's administrators meet in May for its annual spring meetings in Florida. Sources said the ACC declined to comment Monday when reached by CBS Sports. If this happens, oh well. But for the record, I hate it. I hate it. And here's why. Maybe I'm looking into this the wrong way, because there's two ways to look at this. And the first one is 100% wrong. They're going the SEC route in football. The conference slate is so brutal that you need to take some of the non-conference games, the good non-conference games, off the schedule to be able to get some easier chances at wins because your conference slate is so brutal. That's obviously not what's happening here. The reality is that you're trying to give your teams more opportunities to get marquee victories. That's why you are taking away 2 conference games and allowing your respective programs to schedule 2 additional non-conference games. A couple reasons why I feel like this is the complete wrong idea. Number one, if you are worried about the perception of your league, putting this into play, you are admitting that your conference isn't good enough. You're admitting to the NCAA, you're admitting to the committee, you're admitting to the college basketball landscape across the country that, hey, look, the ACC is so bad that we have to reduce the amount of games to give our teams a better chance to get signature victories. This might be controversial, but I see one and only one correct pathway to go down. You could win more games. Why is this so difficult to comprehend? It's not the rest of the country's fault. It's not the committee's fault that the ACC is bad. Duke, Louisville, Clemson, North Carolina, those were the 4 teams that made the tournament this past year. And one of them literally only got in because their athletic director was the tournament chair. Miss me with all the conspiracy stuff. You know it's true. We all do. There's no reason North Carolina should have made it in. Terrible season from them. No marquee victories for the most part. Didn't make any sense. Admitting teams aren't good enough is what you're doing. You're sitting here and you're saying, hey, guys, listen, I know we got 20 games. I know that the ACC's perception is bad. What we're going to do is we're going to take 2 of those games away, and you're going to be able to schedule other teams. How does that make any sense? Like, I get it in theory what you're trying to do, but you're just telling on yourselves. The only thing that's truly going to help the ACC's tournament image in the eyes of the committee is the conference of the whole being better. You can't have 3 teams or 4 teams being good and everyone else is sub 500, the worst Power 5 teams in the net ranking. Like, you need Miami to be better. You need Boston College to be better. You need all these teams to be better. And look, I get it. I feel like I'm standing in a weird spot because Louisville, outside of last year, they had made the tournament since 2019. I'm not saying Louisville is immune to criticism here because they have played a part in why the league is where it's at today. But this is not the right decision. You know why the ACC was looked at so badly this year? They didn't go. The SEC went 14-2 in the ACC SEC Challenge. Louisville got beat really badly to Ole Miss. Teams got smacked. I think Duke and Duke and Clemson were the only 2 teams that won in this challenge. The ACC didn't only just lose the challenge, they got exposed, they got embarrassed. So you're adding more of those games? Okay. Here's a hypothetical. You add more of those games and your teams lose those games. Well, then you just made things even worse. The objective isn't to add more games. You have ample opportunity to add good teams on your schedule in the non-conference league. Louisville's got Tennessee. They've got Kentucky. They've got Indiana. There's a potential that they're going to get St. John's. There's multiple opportunities for you to get some signature early season non-conference victories. The objective is to win those games, to not add more just so you can lose more. Like, yeah, maybe strength of schedule matters. Maybe you're adding more opportunities for strength of schedule. But you know what's going to help your strength of schedule? The ACC getting better. it doesn't have to always be like this moving forward. Because guess what? ACC hires the right coaches, and those coaches help rebuild those programs, and those programs start winning more games against non-conference teams organically. Wow, you've solved the problem. Instead, you're making yourself look foolish here. I feel like I'm on a soapbox, but am I the only one that feels this way? Like, I look at this and I'm like, what in the world are we doing here? Like, we're just admitting that this conference is not good enough instead of doubling down on the coaches that have got hired and promoting your conference. This conference does a terrible job of promoting its teams if you aren't in the state of North Carolina. It's been that way since 2014. I said what I said. Debate a wall. I don't care. I don't care. That's just the reality, in my opinion. My rant is over for the moment. So to sort of get my blood pressure in efforts to lower my blood pressure a little bit, we're going to talk about some good news. The Cardinals picked up another commitment in the class of 2026. It's another in-state recruit deciding to stay in the Bluegrass State. We'll tell you all about Bryten Close when we come back on this Wednesday edition of the Locked On Louisville podcast. This is the last episode for the month of April. Man, it has flown by. Thanks again for tuning in all month long and making us your first listen. Going to continue strong through the month of May. There will be one more episode. Don't forget, we had a Sunday episode this week, so there will be one more for the remainder of the week. Just want to go ahead and give you all a heads up on that so you can prepare for it. Sorry. Louisville has just continually made roster move after roster move with seemingly each passing episode. This one is a little bit different. It's not in regards to this upcoming roster, but instead the next season and beyond in the 2026 class. Louisville picked up a commitment from in-state prospect Bryten Close, interior offensive lineman from Campbellsville, Kentucky, played for Taylor County High School, going from his mascot being the Cardinals to his mascot being the Cardinals. Yeah. He is the sixth in-state commitment. Evan Hampton from Owensboro, Karsten Bush from Louisville, Marlon Harbin from Louisville, Sam Dawson from Crestwood, and Max Mers from Fort Thomas. So, yeah, that is the sixth of the 13 total commits coming from the state of Kentucky. Currently, Louisville has a top 15 class, according to 24/7 Sports. Admittedly, however, Close is currently the lowest ranked player, according to 24/7 Sports. He does not have a ranking. He does not have a composite ranking either. 6'6", 285-pound interior offensive lineman. Currently, according to the publications, he has a handful of offers, none of which are in the Power Four outside of Louisville, Ohio, Colgate, East Carolina, Eastern Kentucky, Liberty, Pennsylvania, UMass, and Western Kentucky. So not really much Power 5 interest. Seemingly at the moment, this seems like one of those situations where Jeff Brom is trying to bank in on the potential. And again, he's using high school classes to get some developmental players with favorable traits that he feels like his staff can develop. And Richard Owens, the offensive line coach, has done a great job of doing just that. I got a little bit of insight from my guy, Keith Artoff, former college offensive lineman, one of the co-hosts from the Pink Seats podcast over at the state of Louisville. I want to get his expertise on this player because of his offensive line background. He basically goes out and says he's got great size, he moves well. However, I don't know about how strong he is at 6'6", 285 pounds either. 285 pounds. So at this point, it's all about trying to find pieces that you can develop. I'm okay with going out into the state and bringing players in that you believe in the traits. However, when you talk about Kentucky recruiting, you do have to, it feels like by law, mention that the talent levels are sort of hit or miss. It's not like Florida or Texas or California or Georgia or Ohio. Like Kentucky high school football can be really competitive, 6A, or a player might not necessarily be playing great competition. Um, I think that Close is a project guy that you're going to bank on to potentially play, maybe going into year 2, year 3. And that's sort of the MO for Jeff Brom in high school recruiting, especially in the trenches, is you're getting guys that you believe in the skill set, because for the most part, it takes a couple seasons for players in the trenches to get significant playing time. Like the trenches, you need a certain level of puberty to, get significant playing time. Unless you're a 5-star level guy, even then it takes some time in certain situations. Or you're a bona fide day 1, day 2 NFL draft pick. It's going to take a little bit of time. So I'm not really worried about him being 285 pounds. I had someone ask me, do you think he's small for an offensive lineman? I mean, not really. I think he moves really well. I think he has some good size for being 6'6", and maybe he adds a little bit more to his frame when he gets to college. But I think that the first year is going to be a redshirt season. I'm interested to see, how much is his recruiting going to blow up in the summer, because Jeff Brom has made a point of emphasis to try to get in on recruitments before they blow up. That's been Louisville's bread and butter basically all throughout my lifetime, is get in on this recruitment, get the commitment before he shows out and shows that he's a true diamond in the rough. And sometimes they do, but it doesn't always end up in that player signing at Louisville. Number 2, I want to see how he plays and how he continues to progress in his senior season. But I'm perfectly fine with Kentucky being locked down by Jeff Brom. In-state recruiting had been neglected for multiple years, and Brom comes in and is like, that's not happening any longer. We're going to reestablish Louisville as a destination spot. And Close mentioned in an interview with Michael McCammon of 24/7 Sports Cardinal Authority, basically paraphrasing, saying, the culture and the success that Louisville's had speaks for itself. So I'm cool with this commitment. I'm hoping that, of course, Richard Owens, Jeff Brom see something in Bryten Close that they believe is going to translate really well to the Power 4 level. I'm not going to say that I know more than them. I'm not suggesting that he's not good either. So don't, twist my words into saying that. But really excited to see how Brom and company finalize this 2026 class. But that is going to wrap up this Wednesday edition of the show. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.